This is Aseem. Can I start by first taking a picture of all of you guys? You want to post it on Twitter? Twitter. All right, please smile. 1, 2. All right, just wait a sec. It's going to Twitter, right? I hope everyone is fine with that. All right. Okay, so you can find it under SID 2013 hashtag if you're interested in that. All right, so my name is Aseem, and I'm the guy in the center there. The reason I bring up this slide is because we've talked today in the first part a lot about the fear, and as Yoda has said, fear can lead to terrible things. So what I'm here today to speak about is hope. That's what my talk is about. It's about hope. It's about how internet has given all of you the tools to actually change the world in positive ways, in ways in which people sitting here as speakers can't imagine. Even I could imagine a few years back that I had the tools to actually make a positive difference in the world. And I have something to prove that to you. So how many here like playing games? Hands up. All right? Right? So how do you define a game? A game is basically, you basically voluntarily try to go through obstacles and see whether you can overcome those obstacles. So I'm going to start throwing some obstacles at you, and let's see who will voluntarily try to overcome them. Okay, so let's start with the first form of, or not the first form, but one of the forms which we all know. How many here have a television set in their houses? Everyone does. Can you guess how many years it took for the TV, the technology of television, to reach 50 million people? Yeah. Yeah, you raise your hand. Just take a guess. How many years it took to get 50 million people to use television? Just say anything. 25? It's more than that. Next person. 50. Very close. It's 48 years. So it took 48 years to get television to. Let's give a round of applause for this gentleman. All right. Let's move to the next technology. What was after television which actually changed the way in which we consumed information? Anyone? What? After TV, phone? No, there were a lot of other inventions. Before that, maybe you don't remember, but there was something else. Yes, as Flying Dutchman would say, radio, right? Okay, so how many years did it take radio to get to 50 million users? Who said, what do you say, 35? Give him a round of applause, gentlemen. This guy is genius. Great. All right, so what came after radio? Not the phone, it was a computer, right? Computer. So how many years did computer take to get to 50 million users? 15, that's right. Someone there said 15. Great. Right? So let's get to the next thing. What about Facebook? How many years did it take for Facebook to get to 50 million users? That's right, 1. That bunch is good. Which school are you guys from? Woo! You guys are smart, man. Right? Okay, so next question. How much time did it take Gangnam Style to reach? 3 months. In 3 months it was 100 million, right? And I think within 4 or 5 months it was 1 billion. Who watched Gangnam Style video recently? How many views does it have now? 1 billion? 5 billion? No, I don't believe that. Okay, I don't know. I haven't checked it recently. I do it every week, but I haven't done it recently. Yeah? Okay, so as you can see, technology is changing so fast, and now there are new things coming up which basically are used by millions, if not billions of people. So, I would be wrong to say that I have all the answers. I think the answers are constantly changing. How many of you here know about Albert Einstein? Yeah? What was he famous for? Most famous for? Right? Relativity, right? So Albert Einstein, if you all know, he was actually a professor. And there was one time he was, giving this exam to his students. And the teaching assistant basically saw the exam and went back and said, Einstein, why are you giving the same exam paper to the same class again? And his answer to her was, because the answers are constantly changing. And that's what's happening today. The answers are constantly changing. Technology and the way we consume information is changing so fast that the answers are rapidly changing. What we did not expect to do last year, we can do right now. Okay, so my story, I will get into this. My story is basically that I had the chance of spending 1 year in Stanford while I was in my 3rd year in National University of Singapore. And while I was there, on one of the weekends, one of my friends called me and said, hey, I have a party, right, it's my birthday. I was like, yeah, of course I know. He was like, let's meet up at this place, we're gonna have a great party. And I left my house feeling that, we're gonna go to a bar or we're gonna go clubbing and we're gonna have lots of fun. But what ended up happening was he basically got me to this place in South San Francisco. He passed a hammer to me and he said, we are building a house for a needy person. And for the next, 4 or 5 hours, I was basically building this house. I'm actually standing on the roof of that house. And, that was revolutionary for me. Because there I was doing something with my friends, which was way more fun and, helping someone, changing someone's life. So I took that experience and I compared back to the experience I had volunteering while I was in Victoria Junior College in the, community involvement program. Can I go to the next slide, please? This is the experience I had before of volunteering. You basically, standing in a public place and, trying to raise donation from strangers who are just too busy. They are rushing to their office and that's not the right time to actually ask them for help. Can we go to the next slide? So all the way through, I've, been involved in a lot of technology-related products. When I was, still studying in National University of Singapore in my first year, I joined a startup called Nino. Then I started a, supper shop called Jumbo Supper. I moved for an internship at Citibank. I started a positive blog where I thought there was too much negativity online called Spread the Love, which does not exist anymore. And, then I joined a startup in Silicon Valley. And finally, I started GIVE Singapore. And the reason I was able to do all these things, technology played a big role. And today I want to share with you how technology was, very vital in me starting GIVE Singapore. Next slide, please. So the vision we have at GIVE is basically we want to make giving a part of Asian lifestyle. We want, philanthropy and helping others and empathy, which was talked about earlier, to be part of lifestyle of everyone, including the youth, and especially the youth. And the way we do that is basically through 3 things. We try to ensure transparency when you basically help, organizations like charities. We make it fun, we make it easy. And finally, it's crowd-powered. So basically, anyone can use the tools we've created to create change. So let me go a bit deeper into how we do that. So just to give you an introduction, GIVE is a community. We have about 50,000 people now who are part of the community, and all these people are basically supporting causes they care about. So they are donating money, they're raising funds, and they are starting advocacy campaigns, petitions about causes they care about. In the past. In the past 3 years, we have raised about $4 million for different charity causes in Singapore, and we are just expanding to countries like India, Indonesia, and Malaysia. So you can actually go visit it at GIVE.sg or www.give.asia. Can we go to the next slide? So one thing which we see happening a lot is that people are basically using something which every one of us have in common, which is our birthdays. So we see a lot of students like you, and as well as adults, working professionals, who basically say that after a certain point of time, your birthdays are actually not that fun anymore. So you don't enjoy getting the same presents or the same kind of presents anymore. So what people use our platform is that they want to make their birthday more meaningful. They basically donate it to a charity and tell all their friends that, hey, this year I'm not looking for presents, I'm looking for you to support a cause I care about. I want you to raise funds for Make-A-Wish Foundation so that a wish can be fulfilled. Or I want you to raise funds for Acres so that an animal can be rescued. Next page, please. And the other thing which technology allows you to do is that it basically makes things a lot cheaper. if you are working in the brick and mortar business, if you are creating something which is tangible, you always have to have enough people to produce it and enough people to supply it. But now if I build an app, I just have to put it on the iPhone and that's it, boom, I reach millions of people just like that. So it really brings down the cost associated with creating something, creating a new idea. People like yourself, I'm sure there are people inside here, sitting amongst you guys who have built iPhone apps and been able to reach hundreds and thousands of people and do that on your free time. You don't really need the the technology infrastructure that was needed in the past. In the past, you really need to be very rich to actually have your hands on these tools which are available freely right now. All right. The third thing is, how many here, like playing Dota, right? Yeah? How many of you prefer playing it single player? Very few. How many people like playing multiplayer? Right? So everyone likes to do things with their friends. And that's the same thing which, internet allows us to. It allows us to do things more socially. So at GIVE, we have actually created a platform where you can work with your friends and play with your friends to actually make world a better place. So this is how it works. You, as a change maker, would have an idea. You will go to the website. You will say that I will shave my head if I raise $500 for Singapore Cancer Society. And then basically you will share it on your Facebook, on your Twitter, and on your emails. You will wait until you raise $500. Once you do so, you upload a video of yourself, shaving your head. And we've had this phenomenal success in this idea, in this concept, which basically makes giving much more easy, more fun, more engaging for everyone. So I'm going to share some examples with you to show how this goes about. This is basically me and my co-founder. Next. Yeah, can we keep going? Next. Yeah, next. All right, so these are some numbers which I'm not going to go into because we don't have enough time. Can we go to the next slide, please? Next slide. Yeah, keep going. All right. Can we go back? Go back. Yeah, so I had an idea of this platform, and basically I got one of my friend who was a developer. I bought him 5 pizzas, and we spent a weekend building this website. So this was a website which was built over the weekend. This was the first version. We started in 2008. I was still studying. Next. This was the version when we actually raised some funding. Next. This is the version which is right now after we got some traction and we got some government support. Next. Now we are actually expanding it from Give Singapore to Give Asia. So this is how Give Asia is going to be. Can we, next? So this is some of the numbers. We've got 50,000 community, 3 million people, 100 over partner organizations. Now we are going into new countries. Next. And these are just some of the case studies, some of the examples. If you guys are interested, we can talk about later. I just have 3 minutes left, so I'm just going to use that time to basically share some of the experiences I've had through this journey. I think you guys are living at a great time right now, given the free tools available out there. You can create products which you are consuming right now. You are on iPhone using all these apps, and I can tell you that if you start working on developing some of these skills of how you can yourself create these tools, you can potentially touch millions, if not billions of lives. So I think being part of this conversation is great for you guys because it really exposes you and shows that anyone can be the change you want to see in the world. And my personal story is kind of an example. I think there are more speakers who are going to share about it as well, that all it takes is that first single step. That first single step of creating a scrappy website and just taking it from there. Once you get yourself out there and you build a product and you start people using it, you have a very interesting insight. And that insight is all these products that we are using right now, all these services that we are using right now, they were built by people who are no smarter than you. And once you understand that, you will realize that you have the potential to change the world using internet. So I would conclude by saying that let's be mindful when we are using tools, when we are using internet, and not do stupid things. But at the same time, let's remember that internet tools are a great way to actually make change and to touch lives and to do something meaningful. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So good to see everyone here today. Many thanks to MLC for inviting me to speak here today. And today I'm going to talk about the many opportunities that we can find on the internet. Now, how many of you like the fact that, that there are many bloggers out there that can make lots of money on the internet? Only me. But, I'm here today to tell you that through my internet adventure, I've garnered many adventures, and today I'm going to share with you some adventures about how great responsibility is equals to great opportunity as well. All right, so it goes hand in hand, and it's going to be a very fun, very quick, and exciting journey. All right, so just give me 5 minutes of your time, and I'm sure you guys will find this presentation interesting. But first of all, as the MC said, I'm a parent blogger, so that means that I have children. Okay, so I have 3 kids. They are 8, 6, and 5. That's them on the stage over there. All right, and basically they are the love of my life, and basically, what I write about is about them because that is what really interests me. And along this parenting journey as well, of course, it's brought me a lot of opportunities. For many of you, I'm just like one of you guys in the fact that I was not born a techie. All right, I did not do any programming. I did not do any exorbitant programming or any intricate computer language when I was younger. In fact, I was more like the chairman, Chang today. I just played computer games, all right? I played computer games in the time of Commodore 64, Atari, Apple, all right? Those are the games that I played with, and I grew up. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about, but it's okay because I just revealed to you my age, okay? But, it was just something for me to play with. And of course, I did not have a lot of information about the internet. But of course, as time went on, I decided to be more open to the internet. In fact, when I first heard about a status update on Facebook, I used to tell myself, who cares what I ate for breakfast? Why should I tell the world I had McDonald's? All right, but as time went on, I realized that there were opportunities here, and that's when I started my blog. Basically, a friend challenged me and told me that, hey, why don't you start a blog? Why don't you take up a technology challenge and start a blog? And I decided to respond, and after my first post, it gained good response. Second, I gained some favorable responses, and that's how, it happened. And from then on, that became my blogging journey. So just let me to show you the highlights of my blogging journey. I think this may interest you. Can we have the next slide, please? Through the parenting journey, I managed to garner some support. In Singapore, they have a Oh My Singapore Blog Awards. So I've been a finalist in the blogging category for a few years. I've also worked with different organizations like Focus on the Family, Maybe Baby, I Love Children. And these are organizations that are very pro-family because obviously it's a parenting blog. So that's why I write, and I write with them. Third slide, please. And of course, with that as well, it also garnered media attention. I appeared in a newspaper. I went on radio as well, like playing Dutchman, but not at his status, of course. I'm always listening to him. All right, and on 938 and stuff like that. All right, but what was really interesting for me is the media milestones. Let's go to the next slide here. All right, through blogging, I managed to work with many companies like Shell. All right, through working with them, in fact, last year's my whole year's supply of petrol was free because I worked together with them, and they taught me how to drive more efficiently. All right, I managed to hold the Singapore record for driving on 1 liter of petrol and going the furthest on 1 liter. And with that, it got me opportunities to go to the F1 circuit in Sepang. It got me, to work with many other organizations like Bosch and HP as well. Moving on to the next slide. How many of you like to go traveling? Young people, you like traveling? Yeah, I like free trips as well. So through blogging, many opportunities were opened up for me. They invited me to go to Hong Kong Disneyland, not just alone, but my whole family. They paid for it, and all I had to do was just to write about it. Is there an opportunity there or not? All right, and of course, I work together with Silk Air. They sent me to Darwin, and of course, Korean tourism as well. How many of you love K-pop and anything Korean? All right, if you love Korean, you love this, KTO, Korean Tourism Organization, and Chan Brothers. They sent me to Korea to isolated locations in Korea, and they asked me to do videos, all right, just to do videos, just to blog about it, and with that, it came a free of charge, expenses paid, and all I got to do was explore the world and just use the internet to great effect for me and my family, all right, so besides that, of course, you have HTC and so on and so forth, all right, so these are some organizations that I work with, and through that, many other new doors are open for me. And that's why I believe that the internet is is one that opens doors of opportunity. Just to go on very quickly, choosing what to blog. Many people will ask, why did I choose to blog about family? Why did I choose to talk about parenting? Let me tell you, the number one advice I give people is that, next slide please, is choose what you are passionate about, all right? Obviously, I don't have the body of Cindy Crawford, so I cannot lie here on the platform and ask you to read my blog because I think you guys will vomit, all right? I don't have a nice body to prance around in my yellow underwear. I don't really like cars that much, so that I can't write about cars. Nor do I want to talk about makeup or eyelashes because that is just not my thing, all right? So basically, what I talk about and what if you want to start a blog, if you want to find an opportunity for yourself, is do what you are passionate about. Next slide, please. So, my family is my passion. My family is what I enjoy doing and spending time with. And because of that, the blogging opportunities allow me to spend time with my family as well. So basically, when I take assignments that encourage me to spend family time with them. I don't really do family assignments alone, but most of the time, when I do assignments with my kids or with my wife because, it is a good opportunity for me to spend time with them and to bond together and to do something together as a family. Next slide. And these are some of the interesting things that my family has done. They sent us to iFly and we flew there together. Daddy and daughter flew together, so that was fun and exciting. We went, to various community runs. We went to biking school, to rollerblading school. When you have a blog, the opportunities are endless. And you do not need to be a great writer, all right? In the sense that I was not, in secondary school, I did not have A's for all my composition, all right? I did not write great GP essays. But all I did was to write something that I felt passionate about, something that I could communicate my message across to my audience, and with that, it came opportunities for me. And also, next slide, and also because as a parent, you find that you take a lot of pictures. So that's why, I like to take pictures as well, all right? So, because it's a great way for me to showcase my family, for me to catch up with my in-laws and my dad and mom and dad, for them to know the development of children and how they've been going on. So you see, taking pictures is something that all of us do. Young people, old people alike, we all do this. So that is why, the opportunity is not out of your reach. The internet is the low-cost platform for you to utilize in order, to send a message across. It is a great vehicle, but as we use it responsibly, it can provide great opportunities for us as well. Next slide. And of course, it's a great place for me to showcase my memories and to capture that moment as well. As we blog, or as you blog, as you think about starting a blog, it's a great way for you to think back about the past, look at pictures of the past, for you to connect back your thoughts, for you to reflect about what happened, and for you, to really think about what has been going on in your life. Next slide. Sharing struggles and tips. All right. So, what has my blog brought for me? The blog has really expanded my network. Many a times as we get older, especially for most adults, our social circle gets smaller and smaller. That's a fact of life. We do not have so many friends as you right now. But with the blog, you can make use of the social media element in order to build communities, to make many more friends. And through these friends, that's where we sometimes go to, for some simple advice, like, my son has a fever for a second night. What should I do? Should I go to the doctor? Should I see a medical profession? What car should I drive? Should I drive this brand of MPV? Are these cars reliable? So we get on the ground information, and it's a community, a network that we can relate with, that we can get together and talk to as well. So, let me tell you, all right, the last slide, please. All right, the parenting journey has been one that is really, really fun for me. It is a journey in the sense that, just because you start a blog doesn't mean that you get 100 hits today or 1,000 hits overnight. It's a journey that you must begin to build on. Opportunities doesn't mean that it happens overnight. Opportunities means that you got to work on it. Just like anything in life, we have to work hard at it. And as you do that, let me tell you, it's a great way for you to express yourself, a great way for you, to build opportunities for you to talk to new people and for you to experience life even fuller. I think my time is up. Thank you for being a great audience. Give yourselves a big hand.
Hello. All right, so when I was in Stanford studying computer science, one of my best lecturers was telling me that a great way to keep audience engaged after 5 hours is to talk really loud so I can get your attention. So now that I got attention, my name is Ivan. Today you all were taught that Keith, my co-founder, who is way taller than me, is coming. But in fact, you got a short change. You got me, the shorter person, to talk to you about volunteerism and all the other boring stuff. So, but to really, really capture your attention today, what I really want to share with you all is just one area of what Start Now does. So one thing we do very well is we help non-profits find people like you to volunteer. And we are doing this across successive events, such as more than 35,000 people using our website, things like, oh, sorry. Right, my clicker is not working. Okay, this is concerning. My Mac just hanged. This is the first time. But never mind. So what we do today is that at Start Now, we help volunteers find opportunities to volunteer for. And we do this across successful events. We have 190 non-profits working with us. We have 35,000 students like y'all volunteering with us. But more than that, all these numbers come to a waste whereby, yeah, you know what? It's okay. All this number comes to waste because at Start Now, the job of us is not to make sure we can get more people like you to volunteer. It is our job to make sure that more Singaporeans can volunteer. So to phantom a guess, do you all know how many percentage of Singaporeans volunteer? 1, okay, it's a bit higher than that. It's actually closer to 11%. 11% of the population actually volunteer in Singapore today. So 11% of our population volunteer, but how about our neighbors such as Malaysia or say Philippines? Way higher. Actually, Philippines has 40% of people volunteering. So as an economic country, we are doing very, 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 very badly as a country in terms of volunteerism. So we at Start Now, we want to push these numbers up. And we are working with many, many partners, to actually do this. So one of our key partners is your school. And going forward in the next few years, we'll be working with the Ministry of Education to come out with a new way for you to volunteer. Oh, all right. So we focus on 3 areas. I'm really going to go through this very fast. The first area we focus on is non-profits. So we today use our technology to give non-profits across Singapore our system for free. But you're not interested in that. Also, another thing we help is corporates, such as companies like Chang Airport is using our system, but you're not interested in that. What I'm interested in sharing with you is this, education. You know that moving forward the next year, Ministry of Education has said that CIP is going to change. So how many of y'all done CIP before? Okay, nearly all of y'all, because it's compulsory. Do y'all like that? Do y'all like CIP? Do you enjoy CIP? Oh, y'all enjoy CIP? That's great. My colleague would love to hear that. And Education Minister would love to hear that from y'all. So next time when you come on stage, please let me know. But to make it even better for you, we are going to introduce this thing called Values in Action. This is how ministry will see your volunteerism for the future. So we are going to make a few changes, and the first quantum leap is that instead of your volunteering as a big class, we want you all to volunteer with your friends. That's a very simple concept. We want you all to find your friends across different levels in your CCA groups to volunteer among yourselves so that you all can do something that you all really like. So it's no longer about you going to old folks' home, or it's no longer about you doing the next flag day, because all of us really don't like that, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is we're going to say goodbye to all your hours. All right, we are still going to record how many hours you all volunteer, but we are going to give you a way better measure to measure that. And we're going to give you something called impact. So let's say you go and volunteer for the old folks' home, and all these aunties are so happy with you all there. Can we put an economic value to it? Yes, we can. So we are going to let you know that after you go and do a food drive, how much value have you created for society? So hopefully all these little measures will make you more interested to volunteerism. And the third thing that we really want to focus on is something called reflections. Now, we know you all hate writing 500-word essay about yourself, because I hate writing that for myself too. So we tell ministry that, you know what, the students are not going to write 500-word essay, but the students are going to share a lot of amazing pictures, because all of you all here are using smartphones like iPhone and Android and so forth. And when I was in P6, I don't even have my own smartphone. So all these things are leading to this change in values in action. And at Start Now, our job is to harness all your energy here today so that you all can all go out there, use our system, but more importantly, go out there to make a difference in the community. So hopefully, after I share with you all all be excited to quickly get the VIA system out so that you all can start making your own volunteerism choice. So say goodbye to your mass events, say hello to a new way to increase our rate of 11% all the way to the national standard of 40%. Thank you.
My name's Andrea. I'm basically a lawyer. So everything I prepared today is pretty boring. And after listening to what everyone has to say, I was telling my fellow panelists that I'm just going to throw away everything I've prepared because I don't want to bore you guys. Okay? So next slide. I'm just going to try and tell you a little bit more about what I do. I think you've already heard from everyone today that there's a lot of stuff that is behind the internet that you guys may not think about. For example, when you post a comment on Facebook, sometimes that has implications on other people. Like the previous panelist mentioned, there might be defamation issues. Or how many of you, okay, this is for the girls. Do you guys shop on blog shops? Like Love Bonito and Missy Pixie. Any of you? Okay, some of you. And for blog shops, did you know that you actually need to apply for a license in order to have it? You can't just set it up. So behind all those things that you see on the internet, there's a lot of legal issues that are there. And I know it sounds a little bit boring, but I'm going to try and tell you a little bit more about this because after today, you're going to know a lot more than most of your friends about this. So, next slide, please. Okay, basically you need licenses to do a lot of things, a lot of businesses. So like blog shops I mentioned, even if you want to raise money, you'll need to get a license. So the government needs you to apply online, in order to allow you to do what you want. And this is how we regulate things in Singapore. That's what the law is for, unfortunately. Next. Okay, now here's something interesting. So we've talked a lot earlier on about defamation and privacy, and when you say things, are there consequences? So I don't want to scare you anymore by telling you that, if you say something mean online, you're going to get into trouble. But I will tell you more about this. Now, data protection, there's a new law that just came into force in Singapore on the 2nd of January this year, and it's called the Personal Data Protection Bill, okay? And basically, what it does is it makes sure that people on the internet, like companies and stuff, when you type in your email address and your name and all your personal information, they can't take it and use it elsewhere. So what they're trying to do is to protect your privacy. Does anyone think that's a good idea? Okay, no. Well, it is a good idea because this means that people can't just find out things about you if you don't want them to know about it. For example, how many of you know Groupon? Great, yes. So when you want to sign up to Groupon, you need to put in your name, you need to put in your email address and things like that. So why we have this law is so that a website like Groupon cannot take your information and sell it to someone else so they can make money from you. So that way, your information is being kept private. Next slide. Okay, so a short bit about intellectual property. I think earlier they mentioned stuff about copyright. So for example, all of you with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, if you take a picture, it means it was taken by you. You are the photographer, and that means that you are the one that owns the copyright of that particular photo. So other people can't use it without your consent. Did you know that? Okay. So that's just something small about copyright that you may want to know. So next time if you don't want your friend to use your stuff, you can tell them, you're infringing on my copyright. And you'll be right. Okay, another thing is trademarks. This is quite boring, but basically, all those brands you see, you're not allowed to use their stuff because they're the ones that pay a lot of money to own their trademark. For example, McDonald's. You can't just take the McDonald's logo and stick it on, use it on your website or stick it on your bag or something like that unless you pay for it. So that's just what trademark is about. Okay, these are some websites which you shouldn't go to because they're really boring. I thought there was going to be some business owners, but if any of you is interested in starting an online business, if you're interested in maybe trying to make some money, you want to do your own blog shop or something like that, these are just some of the online websites that you can look at for more information. Really, that's all I have to say, So maybe if there are any questions, you can ask them later on when we have with the question time. Thank you.
Hi, John Ewer. It's a Scottish name. So it's the way I get myself my revenge on not being able to pronounce Chinese names. If the last speaker was boring, I'm going to be really boring. She was a lawyer. I'm an economist. And you can't get much more boring than an economist. Okay, let's take the next slide. By the way, my title of executive director is I'm part-time executive director, and I do other stuff as well. Now, in 2010, several companies came together to form the Asia Internet Coalition. And the main members today are, as you see, Google, Skype, eBay, Yahoo, and Facebook. And then there's a bunch of other companies that are associate members spread around Asia Pacific. Why was that formed? Well, the theme of today is a safer internet. And of course, quite rightly, that's been interpreted to mean safe for you, safe when you use it. But there's also another meaning of safer internet, and that is the internet itself is safe for you, safe from restrictions, safe from censorship, safe from people who would close it down. And unfortunately, there are people who take that view. So governments around the region, around this region, Asia Pacific. You see, I told you I was boring. Look at these guys. Governments all around the Asia Pacific are for the first time having to grapple with exactly the problems you've just been told about, the legal problems, data protection, laws about cyberbullying or copyright or whatever. These are big issues. They're technical issues, but they're issues that allow companies like these to provide the internet for you. For example, supposing somebody posts something up on the internet and it's illegal. Maybe it makes racist remarks, something of that kind. Should that website be closed down? Well, in some countries, there are governments who say yes. But what these companies are saying is that if there is something illegal, then give us a takedown notice. We will find that illegal content and we will take it down. That is our responsibility, to abide by the law. But at the same time, our responsibility is to protect legal content. So just because one item might not be legal doesn't mean to say that the whole website should be closed down. So these are the kind of issues that companies that provide you with access to the internet have to face. Go to the next slide, please. So the vision of the Asia Internet Coalition is open access to everyone. This is a fundamental principle that we fight for. No constraints on the rights of consumers to access legal internet services, applications, and content. Again, we fight for this all around Asia Pacific. So when governments introduce new laws which seem to compromise your right to use the internet, we try to represent the views of internet users and say, no, amend the law in a way that preserves the freedoms of people to use the internet. Internet for the benefit of the community, for example, access to information, education, healthcare, and so on. Information is what makes the world go round these days. Information is vitally important for democracy, for example. Information is vitally important so that you can make informed decisions. A lot of the discussion earlier today was about misinformation, people putting up things which are wrong and incorrect. I am a researcher. I have to use the internet a lot to research things. Just as you have to do homework, you probably use the internet. So I make it a matter of principle that I never use just one source. I look for different sources from different websites in the internet to see whether they are saying the same things or whether there are different views out there. This is information. I need that in order to make an informed judgment. So that's vital. and to expand the opportunities for responsible online speech. Notice the word expand there. That is to say, we're not just passively saying that people should have the right of free speech. We're saying that where that right is constrained, government should seriously think of opening up those rights, widening those rights. And finally, the word for everybody who uses the internet, act responsibly, act sensibly. So next slide, please. So the simple messages are, act sensibly, and I think that was the message coming out earlier today, and respect others, respect other users, even if you have a disagreement with them. Nothing wrong with saying that you have a disagreement with them, but do it in a respectful way, because that actually produces a better dialogue, a better conversation. And none of us have all the truth. So even if we think we're right, we might, just might, get sometimes persuaded that we're not always right. Thank you.
So we've got all these questions that have come through on Pigeonhole, and we're going to deal with a couple of the more important ones. And we'd really like to thank the chairs for staying. Thank you, chairs. It's been really nice. Wait a minute, yeah? Wait a minute. You guys haven't moved all afternoon. Thank you. Thank you. It's only because their teachers told them to sit there. But anyway, so these are the questions. And we're going to try and direct them at people. Edmund, for example. The question, what examples of websites or online tools are on the net that can be used to set up your sites? So Edmund, we start with you.
So websites and tools to set up your blogs.
Yeah.
Of course, we have Blogger and
Yeah.
WordPress. These are the most common applications around because they're easiest to use. So if you're looking to set up a website, just hop on down to Blogger and WordPress, and I'm sure that the instructions are simple enough that anybody, whether old or young, can set up your own website.
What were the difficulties? The second part of the question is, what are the difficulties you faced when you began blogging?
The difficulties, actually, the most difficult thing for me was to decide on the subject matter and what I wanted to write about. Because I didn't want to start something and fail halfway.
Right.
Because I guess everyone has suffered from that before, especially New Year resolutions, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like losing weight. You don't want to stop halfway. Like the month of February, you stop. So I wanted to write on something that I could find that I could continue writing on. And parenting naturally was a subject matter that I knew that I was on a journey for the rest of my life.
Right.
So that's why I chose that.
So if I opened a blog because I work on radio, I should just center around gossip because that's what we do really well.
That really sell newspapers as well.
So-
You know, it's a good website.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question we have is, and any one of you can pick up on this, there's a whole lot of stuff there out on the internet, all sorts of stuff. How do we get people to recognize our work? What have you guys done that has gotten people to recognize what you do? Maybe with GIVE.sg, how did that take off? How did you get people to recognize what you were doing?
This is concept which an online marketer called Seth Godin talks about. It's called the purple cow. So he essentially says that whatever you do, it needs to be, unique. It needs to be something like purple cow, which makes people go, wow, this is remarkable. So, you always need to work on stuff which, has an opportunity out there. And when people see what you're doing, they should go and say, wow, I really want this. So you have to find your, sweet spot. Just like how Edmund found his sweet spot in that, particular online parenting advice.
Right.
Kind of similarly, you have to find out which spot can you be the best in the world.
It's your wow factor.
Exactly, it's a wow factor, yeah.
It's your wow factor. Okay, we got a lot of questions to run through. Can I sue someone for hacking my private data?
Yeah. Hello. I think the short answer is yes. There's an issue of privacy that comes into play when something like that happens. First of all, what do you mean by hacking your private data? Let's say it's something that's stored on your computer that you've uploaded. If it means they're hacking into an account that belongs to you and doesn't belong to them, then you would definitely own property in whatever information you've uploaded. So it all comes down to who owns it. And if it's something you've created, if it's information that you've written, photographed, somehow you own it, then yeah,
You can.
someone has breached that ownership, someone has breached the intellectual property that you own. They've stolen it, basically.
I'm sure Mr. Ewer would have something to say.
Yeah, there's an interesting twist to this story, because if, for example, you go into YouTube and you discover that somebody has taken some of your video and put it up and claimed it as their own, of course you can sue them. You can get it taken down. But Google came up with Google owned YouTube. They came up with an alternative, an incentive. They said, we'll give you 3 options. Either we take it down, or we give you credit, so you get the credit for it, or, number 3, you can share the revenue from the advertising that goes around it.
Oh, that's very clever.
And the number of people who have taken up that option,
Option 3.
Number 3.
Option 3 would be, I mean, in terms of a business, option 3 would be a smart move, providing what's up there is to your advantage.
Yeah. And I think the important principle there is that the internet is what we call a disruptive technology.
Yeah.
It undermines the business models of many of the traditional media.
Yeah.
But if you use a bit of imagination, you can come up with new models that make a lot of sense.
There are a lot of questions regarding how to run non-profit organizations, but unfortunately we're running out of time. So I'm sure some of these guys are going to be waiting for you outside to talk to you guys some more.
About values, right?
Yeah. So if you do have questions and we haven't answered them because we don't have enough time, please wait outside because I'm sure our speakers will be out there. They'll give you a couple of minutes to ask your questions. Can we give all our speakers a very big round of applause, please?